Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Was a Genius and Found Out the Secret, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. After a day of pursuit, Naruto and Sasuke had almost caught up to the Suna group. They were slowing down from obvious exhaustion, which showed when they jumped onto a tree branch and set off an exploding tag. Each tree they jumped to set off another one. After about 5 trees, the tags stopped. Setting traps while running from an opponent meant one of two things. 1. You were getting desperate, or 2. You were getting tired. Usually it was both. Sasuke and Naruto jumped and swung through the breaks before eventually catching up to the Suna group. Temari motioned for Kankuro to go. Temari, there's no way you can. Even if it's just a little, it's better than leaving Gaara here for them to finish. Go. Kankuro picked Gaara up and left. Both Sasuke and Naruto knew they would be in a better position to fight Gaara if they took each of them out 2-on-1. Temari jumped forward, throwing 6 kunai at him, 3 at each. They both moved their heads slightly, dodging the kunai by inches. Temari lopped around a tree branch, crouching on top of it. All three, after analyzing the situation, body flickered into the air. Sasuke and Naruto threw a hail of kunai and shuriken at Temari, who swept him away with an air blast. Temari let loose a blast. Ninpu, Kamaitake. Both Naruto and Sasuke dodged in different directions as the tree's trunk was neatly cut in half. Each branch they landed on was snapped by another wind blast. Sasuke threw a hail of kunai at her. Don't underestimate me. Ninpu, Fuusaijin. The kunai were deflected back, as was Sasuke, who hit a tree's trunk but quickly recovered to get behind the tree to avoid the brunt of the damage. Naruto took advantage of Temari's concentration on Sasuke to create a cage bunshin and made it body flicker behind Temari, grabbing her in a full Nelson. Sasuke. Now. Sasuke quickly came out and took stock of the situation. He formed a small set of hand seals and announced his jutsu. Kaiten, Gukakyu no Jutsu. The fireball raced towards Temari, who managed to use Kiwami to replace herself with a log, which was promptly incinerated along with the clone. Sasuke noticed Temari on a nearby branch. He used his next jutsu, which Naruto mirrored. Katon Housenka. The sets of fireballs raced towards Temari, who backflipped out of the way, following the balls of fire to the ground. The fire surrounded Temari in a circle of fire. Temari looked up to see Sasuke preparing for another jutsu. Kaiten, Gukakyu no Jutsu. Naruto looked at Sasuke's handiwork, shaking his head. She's persistent, I'll give her that. Kamaitake. The fire was fanned out and Sasuke jumped back to avoid the incoming wind attack. However, he either hadn't noticed, or forgot that the tree's branches were covered in sand, making them slippery. Sasuke slipped and fell, making Temari move in for the kill. She threw 3 kunai at Sasuke, embedding themselves in his chest. Temari looked rather confident as she inspected his corpse. Naruto laughed, catching her attention. If you thought that would beat him, think again. Temari looked back to see Sasuke had replaced himself with a log that had a complementary exploding note attached to it. Her eyes widened as the tage went off, sending her flying back. Once she came to a stop, she looked up to see Naruto and Sasuke looking at her with rather bored looks on their faces. We don't have time to waste with you. They both left her there and went off to catch up to Gaara. They quickly caught up to them again. Sasuke threw a series of shurikens at them to make them stop, however, they kept going. Naruto got ahead of them and stopped on the next branch while Sasuke was on the branch behind them. Don't run. Bring it on. Temari dropped out of the bushes next to Kankuro. What? Temari, I thought they beat you. You were okay. Yeah, somehow, but I couldn't slow them at all. Gaara still hasn't had enough time to recover. Go, Kankuro. I'll fight him again. She was interrupted as Kankuro pulled his puppet off his back and slammed it onto the branch. Temari, take Gaara and go. You can't fight anymore. We don't need anyone to burden us. Temari tried to explain how futile it was, but Kankuro cut her off. Go. Temari picked up Gaara's limp body and left. Kankuro turned back to the two boys. Looks like I'll have to fight you. No, I'll be your opponent. The owner of the Voic appeared on the next branch from Sasuke. Shino, how'd you find us? Shino pointed to Naruto. I placed a female bug on both of you before you left the stadium. The female is almost odorless. The only thing that can smell the female is a male of the same species. Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Naruto. Both of you go after Gaara. I'll take care of him. Naruto smiled. I suggest once you finish him that you don't follow us. It'll get really nasty. Shino looked at Naruto with a slightly raised eyebrow. Nasty. The fight'll be way out of your league, Shino. Shino nodded and turned back to Kankuro. Both Naruto and Sasuke jumped up to higher branches and continued the pursuit. Just up ahead, Gaara was finally coming back to his senses. Temari, put me down. Temari stopped on the nearest branch and put Gaara down. Can you move again, Gaara? Apparently, he wasn't because he clutched his head and suppressed a cry of mental anguish. Temari removed a medicine bottle from her clothes. Gaara turned around to look behind them. Temari, go away. Temari didn't understand why Gaara suddenly wanted her to leave, but started getting up. What do you mean, Gaara? Gaara got up and slammed her into the trunk of the tree. Just go over there. You're in the way. Gaara was panting heavily as he stared at his opponents. Naruto and Sasuke stared back at him. Gaara's armor of sand started cracking, alerting both Naruto and Sasuke something was wrong. Naruto could already sense Shukaku's chakra seeping out of his vessel. Naruto turned to Sasuke. Sasuke, I hate to say it, but this guy's out of your league. The only one who can fight him evenly is another one of his kind. Sasuke scowled at Gaara. I had a suspicion it would be something like that. I'll support. Naruto nodded and watched as Gaara mumbled incoherent words to himself before he started shaking his head from side to side. The last part of his conversing was very audible. You are my prey. Gaara's arm was suddenly covered with a lot of sand, as was the right side of his face that came directly from the gourd, and not its contents. Gaara opened his right eye to reveal the same eye Sasuke had seen during the proper match when Gaara was inside the sphere. Gaara jumped and threw his transformed arm forward, completely decimating the tree they were both standing on. Naruto held up a single finger, which was the universal sign for, cover for me for a moment. Sasuke charged at Gaara, replacing himself with a log as Gaara was about to cut a huge section out of his side, appearing above Gaara and launching 2 handfuls of kunai, which Gaara absorbed into his sand arm. Naruto was thinking with his tenant. Shit, this is really bad. Even if I used the same amount of chakra as with Neji, I'd only force him to go to the next stage, which would outclass me again. Shit. Kyuubi, any ideas? Kit, it's about time I gave you the next stage. It'll hurt, but the effects will be well worth it. I'm willing to try just about anything at the moment. Naruto felt the Kyuubi's chakra rush into his system and exploded out of him in a massive shockwave. The tree's trunk was obliterated as Naruto's features started to turn more feral. I am not explaining cubified Naruto again. Temari stared at the boy in horror. This really was a battle of the monsters. However, Kyuubi wasn't done yet. This is the part one was talking about. Naruto's stomach started feeling pulsing with jabs of pain as blood-red goo-like chakra started seeping out of it. The chakra quickly surrounded Naruto, burning him in the process. Naruto screamed as the chakra passed his head and completely engulfed him. Naruto turned around to face Gaara and he dropped to all fours. 2 can play your game, Shukaku. Gaara was gleeful that he finally had an opponent worth fighting. This is fun, Uzumaki Naruto. This is fun. Gaara flew at him, but Naruto just raised an arm and brought it down in a vertical slash. What no one expected was the chakra surrounding his hand extended and grappled with Gaara's arm. Naruto used his extendable arm to hurl Gaara through several trees before he came to a stop on a branch. Gaara laughed as he got up. I know why this battle is so fun. It's because of this pain. If I kill the only 2 people to have hurt me, I'll get an even stronger sensation of life. Gaara's gourd turned into more sand, which covered his left arm, body and legs. Sasuke looked horrified at Gaara. Naruto turned to Sasuke, who looked at him. Naruto nodded, holding out his right hand, forming a Rasengan. Sasuke activated the Sharingan and formed the 3-hand seals for the Chidori, powering it up. Gaara, Shukaku flew at him, and they jumped at him. Naruto's Rasengan pierced Gaara's left arm and shoulder, while Sasuke's Chidori did the same to his right. Gaara lay still for a moment as he fell onto a nearby tree branch, before getting up, only to find a giant version of Naruto's chakra claw hovering over him. Gaara had nowhere to run, and so took the full impact as it slammed him through the tree branch into the ground. The chakra hand dissipated, leaving a very damaged Gaara. Naruto charged at Gaara, readying for the final blow. But Gaara got up and grappled Naruto's chakra hand with his own. Gaara had the advantage of being able to swing Naruto this time. Taking full advantage of that, he threw him through several trees. Gaara noticed the presence of a new person, and turned to his left to see Sakura. Sasuke growled at her. Sakura, get out of here now. I'm not even strong enough to take part in this. Sakura looked at the absolute fear in her crush's eyes, and didn't notice Gaara flying at her, slamming her up against the trunk and separated the sand hand from his arm, leaving Sakura pinned against the trunk. Gaara smiled at Naruto and Sasuke. If you want to save this woman, then you have to beat me. If you don't, the sand will constrict tighter and eventually kill her. Sasuke looked at Sakura in distaste. We need to save you again. You're annoying. Sakura couldn't hear this, as she was already unconscious. Naruto got pissed off, not only at Gaara for taking hostages, but at Sakura for being so devoted to her love life that she hadn't even noticed Gaara flying at her until he'd smashed her into the trunk. Naruto growled and charged at Gaara, sending both hands forward and began pummeling him into the ground. He still didn't stop, and continued his combo, smashing everything around him before powering up his fist with chakra and giving Gaara a punch he would definitely remember. The sand around Gaara flew off him, revealing that the right side of his sand body had been completely destroyed. Naruto jumped back up and dove in again, ready to finish him off. However, Gaara decided to step the battle up a notch. There's no way I can lose to this guy. Gaara's body grew exponentially, covering the area in smoke. When it finally cleared, Naruto saw Shukaku's true form. Kyuubi knew Naruto was screwed if this kept up. Oi, Kit, get down here now. For the Kyuubi to call him to the cage in the middle of a battle, it had to be serious. Naruto entered his mindscape, and this time was right in front of the cage. Kit, even if I gave you another tail, not only would your body be unable to take the power, but it still wouldn't be enough for you to win. I really didn't want to do this, but I have no choice. Without this, both of us are going to die. Kyuubi's chakra seeped out of its cage and condensed into a scroll made out of chakra. It's the contract of the foxes. You haven't signed a summon contract, and without something like an high-ranking summon, you will die the second you get out of here. Sign it quickly. Naruto opened the scroll and signed the first available space with his blood, finishing with his blood fingerprints. The scroll wrapped itself up and dissipated, before the waves of chakra seeped back into the cage. I wouldn't have given you the contract to sign for a couple of years yet, but I had no choice. The seals are boar, dog, bird, monkey, ram. Get out of here. Naruto nodded and noticed he was back in the real world, and currently being surrounded by sand. He managed to turn his head to Sasuke. Sasuke, get over here. Sasuke leapt to the branch Naruto was on just as Naruto bit his thumb and was covered in sand. Sasuke tried to get the sand off him, but it held tight. Naruto. Sabaku So's. Kuchio's no Jutsu. The sand splattered of Naruto, showering Sasuke. However, the more noticeable change apart from the intense amount of smoke was that they were rising at a rapid rate. Once the smoke cleared, they saw they were on top of a giant red nine-tailed fox. Said fox looked up at them. You're always full of surprises, Kit. I don't know how you pulled this one off, but you did. As for you, Uchiha. The only reason I'm not killing you right now is because my host thinks of you as his kin. If you were anyone else, you would have been dead a long time ago. Sasuke silently thanked Naruto and they stared at their opponent. Kyuubi's tail slapped the ground, splitting a mountain in half before he grinned in a way that put Naruto's foxy grin to shame. It's been several hundred years since I last saw that form. However, that is Shukaku's form only, it is not Shukaku himself. Oi, Kit, why don't you bring Shukaku out? I wouldn't mind talking to him again. The sand on Shukaku's head began softening before the top half of Gaara's form came out. Gaara opened his eyes to reveal bloodshot pupilless whites. This is my reward for entertaining me, Uzumaki Naruto. I will show you Shukaku's true power. Gaara formed a ram seal and promptly fell asleep. Shukaku was completely still for a moment before its eyes became an intense yellow color and it screamed. Yahahahahahahaha. I'm finally free. Shukaku looked at the Kyuubi in interest. It's been a while. Kyuubi Heim. Naruto and Sasuke looked at Shukaku like he was half mad. How could the Kyuubi be any less feminine? It was the embodiment of destruction. Naruto voiced his opinion. Kyuubi Heim. What the hell? It's been a long-standing joke amongst us demon lords. It would take too long to explain, so I'll do it later. As for you, Shukaku. How about we end that last sparring match we never got to finish? Sounds good to me, Kyuubi. Kyuubi charged forward, attempting to jab Shukaku with its tails as it flew through the air. Kyuubi landed on Shukaku's shoulder and pulled on its arm, ripping it right off. Kyuubi landed behind Shukaku and grinned at him. You've gotten weaker since we last met. Naruto called out to his tenant. Oi, Kyuubi, Sakura's over here. Oh, want me to kill that pink-haired bitch? Naruto sighed. Was all Kyuubi thought about destruction? No, she's more useful alive than dead for now. Just finish off Shukaku. Fine. Kyuubi charged again and dodged as Shukaku used a jutsu. Fuyuten, Renkyuden. Shukaku had taken a deep breath in and slammed his fist into his stomach, forcing a giant ball of air heavily infused with chakra out which ripped throughout the forest Kyuubi had been in only moments ago. Kyuubi began charring one of its own jutsus while it was mid-air. Kaiten, Guka. Fire type, Hellfire. Shukaku released another Renkyuden to counter. The resulting explosion was tremendous. It covered an area approximately 7 square kilometers. Kyuubi landed and jumped again straight away. Shukaku released a barrage of compressed air balls, to which Kyuubi counted every one of them. Kyuubi directed itself towards Shukaku throughout the clouds of smoke and bit Shukaku's other arm off, much to Shukaku's chagrin. Shukaku, what in the 9 layers of hell have you been doing? This isn't even fun. I'm disappointed in you. Kyuubi charged and bit into Shukaku's chest while grabbing its shoulders with both its claws. It raised an eye to its 2 riders. Or you two, go and smack that brat awake. I'm bored. Sasuke and Naruto jumped off Kyuubi and both of them smacked Gaara awake. Shukaku let back its head in a howl of frustration. God damn it. I just came out, you know. I'll get you yet, Kyuubi. Shukaku's eyes dulled and Gaara opened his eyes. Naruto and Sasuke charged him again, but Gaara tried to absorb them into the sand. Naruto struggled to get free and Sasuke wasn't faring much better. Kyuubi realized Naruto's problem. Without being in his body, he couldn't access its chakra. Oi, Kit, I'm going back. Later, the Kyuubi puffed out of existence and Naruto felt its chakra once again flood his system. The sand around Naruto blasted off, as did Naruto's forehead protector. His jacket also ripped open. He charged Gaara, hoping to stop him before he killed Sasuke. Naruto broke through the tendrils of sand that tried to stop him and slugged Gaara in the face, dispelling Shukaku form. All 3 boys fell to earth. Gaara landed on the ground, face first, while Naruto landed in a crouch, breathing heavily. Sasuke landed next to Naruto's forehead protector, noticing that it had a scratch mark through the symbol. Sasuke smiled and picked it up, walking shakily back to Naruto. He was just in time to see Naruto stand over Gaara, giving him a lecture. It was painful, wasn't it? The hatred from the villagers. That pain isn't normal. No mortal should have to experience it. The threats, the assassination attempts, the isolation. Why? Why do you fight? What makes you so strong? I don't fight just for myself. I found a single person in my life who saved me from the dark hell that was my childhood. He acknowledged me, and even accepted the fact that I had a demon in me, not thinking less of me for it. Gaara, the only way you can become truly strong is to find the people who will accept you for what you are and fight with them and for them. Everyone else is trash. Gaara, I'm willing to put up with you attacking Konoha, but attacking my only friend and brother is something that I will not accept. If you ever do it again, I'll kill you. Sasuke smiled widely at the praise Naruto was lavishing on him. It was a very rare occurrence, even in private. It made him realize that they were similar beyond a doubt. They had been each other's support growing up. Without the other, the one remaining would have given up long ago. Sasuke stood next to Naruto. Just then, Kankuro and team reappeared in front of Gaara, deciding whether to fight or run. Gaara made the decision for them. Don't fight them. Let's stop. Gaara. Kankuro leant down and picked Gaara up. Sure thing. They took one last look at the pair before disappearing into the trees, back toward Suna. Gaara, with the last of his power, decided to try Naruto's advice. Kankuro. Temari. I'm sorry. They both looked at him, then at each other. Kankuro answered for him. No problem, Gaara. Several days later, once they got back to the village, they found out that the Sandaime had been killed by his own student. Naruto was patched up and then discharged from hospital, regardless of the fact that he needed a day's rest before he should be discharged. From the looks of the villagers, they hated him even more now. But the looks also contained a small bit of something else. After a while, Naruto recognized it. Fear. They'd seen Naruto's manifestation of the Kyuubi's chakra, and heard him saying it was practically a negligible amount compared to what he could manage. Naruto laughed inwardly. Serves the bastards right. Kyuubi sent Naruto a mental image of the town in flames. Naruto actually laughed out loud at that one, causing people to look at him in even more anger. One man actually spoke out. What the hell's so funny, demon? Nothing you could understand. The man decided to try and punch Naruto, who took the man's wrist and held it. If you ever try that again, I'll break it. Understand? The man attempted to jerk his hand away, which Naruto let him do and watched as he ran down the street in fear. Geez, what a weakling. I didn't even hit him. Naruto went back home and sat on his bed. Naruto had been told to attend the funeral, but he decided that wouldn't be the smartest idea. Evidently, Sasuke thought the same thing, and knocked on Naruto's door in their signature door knock that only they knew. Naruto opened the door to see Sasuke standing there in his black Uchiha clothing. Not going either. Nah, they'll just mob me. Come in. Naruto let Sasuke in and closed the door behind him. Naruto kept a supply of Sasuke's favorite tea in the pantry for when he came over. Sasuke knew Naruto could barely afford it, but it was a nice gesture. Sasuke kept a stack of instant ramen in his kitchen pantry for when Naruto came to visit as well. A lot of each other's personalities had rubbed off on the other. Sasuke, although he could never love ramen as much as Naruto, eventually came to like it. Naruto also learned to like the tea Sasuke loved. They both sat at Naruto's small two-seater table with their freshly prepared ramen and tea. Nothing was said. Nothing need to be said. They were just getting to the point in their companionship when they could convey emotions through slight movements of certain parts of their bodies, which the other most of the time would understand what they meant. There were quite a few times when they mistook an action's meaning for something else, but a choice word or two would clear it up. They had a game of sorts to see if they could have an entire conversation through body language with no stuff-ups. The time passed, and the day wore on. Eventually, Sasuke got up to leave. Thanks for that, Naruto. Naruto knew Sasuke was thanking him for something else besides the hospitality due to the extreme amount of pride in his posture and eyes. Naruto knew he was talking about his speech to Gaara. No problem. I know you'd do the same for me. Sasuke smiled and left to go. He opened the door to see that there were a lot of people gathering in the general area. He shut the door quickly but quietly and turned to Naruto. Naruto could tell by his body posture that the villagers had decided to take their anger out on him yet again for the death of their Kage. This death though had even less to do with him than the Yondaime's death. Naruto quickly grabbed a few things like kunai, exploding tags, his wallet and a few other tidbits, shoved them into his bag and headed for the bathroom. Naruto had long ago prepared an escape route for this situation. Sasuke followed him as Naruto slipped his finger under part of the tiled floor to reveal a homemade trapdoor. Naruto lifted it and revealed a chute of sorts. Naruto motioned for Sasuke to get in. Sasuke jumped in and Naruto did after him. The tiled floor slipped back into place seamlessly. Once they hit the ground, Naruto led the way forward in the inky blackness. Sasuke stumbled as his foot caught something, but Naruto grabbed his hand to steady him. Sasuke held onto Naruto's hand as they ran through the twisting maze of pitch-black corridors. Finally Naruto slowed down and stopped at what Sasuke thought was some random spot. Naruto felt along the wall until he found the raised metal bar that indicated the first rung and started climbing. Sasuke felt along the wall and found it too and followed Naruto up. Naruto stopped and put his ear to the surface above him. After several seconds, Naruto slowly pushed the grate up and blinked at the relatively bright light. Even if it was a cloudy day, it was still far brighter than it was down there. Naruto looked out and saw that there was no one in the general area, so he shoved the grate off and got out, followed by Sasuke. Naruto replaced the grate and looked around. He could vaguely hear shouts in the distance, but decided they weren't a threat at the moment. Naruto turned to Sasuke. It's best if you went home. If they saw you with me, they'd accuse me of using my demonic powers to brainwash you or some shit like that. Sasuke nodded and began walking home. Naruto decided that he needed to find Ero Sennin and get out of here for a while. Naruto found Jiraiya walking down the street. When Jiraiya noticed him, he came up to him and looked sternly at him. The villagers are in uproar now. I've been asked to go and get the Godime Hokage so they'll be able to try and maintain some sort of peace in this village. They didn't say I couldn't, but I suggest you come with me. Naruto nodded and started walking with Jiraiya towards the south gate, which they were thankfully close to. They walked out the gate and away from Konoha. Later that day, Sasuke had gotten fed up with waiting for Kakashi to come to training. He'd even well and truly passed his own record for tardiness, so he decided to go pay his house a visit. When he got there, he noticed that the door was open, so he walked through the house and found the Junin instructors for the Rookie 9 as well as Guy there. Sasuke noticed that Kakashi was laying in bed sleeping. Why the hell is Kakashi asleep? And why are all of you here? What happened? Nothing much. At that point, a Junin burst in, having a completely different story. Is it true that the Uchiha Itachi came back and is after the demon? Sasuke turned around and stared at the man. He slammed him into the door and charged outside. He knew Naruto was as good as dead if Itachi got him. Even with Sasuke there to help him, they would likely stand no chance of winning. Sasuke charged towards Ichiraku Ramen and overheard someone talking to a friend. Did you hear? Jiraiya-sama's gone to get the Godime Hokage. That was all he needed to hear, as it was likely that Jiraiya had taken Naruto with him. Judging by the fact that the earliest they could have left was several hours ago, there was a 1/4 chance of going in the right direction and finding him soon. He didn't like those odds, so he went to Ichiraku and asked the old man. Hey, old man, did Naruto come past here? I think he did. He said something about going to pick up the Godime Hokage. He had Jiraiya-sama with him. Do you know anything about which way they went? They left from the south gate, I think. They said something about a lodging town not far from here. Sasuke had one last question. What does Jiraiya look like? He's a big white-haired old man. Thanks. With that, Sasuke's destination was set. He had everything he needed to find them, so he flew out of the village and towards the nearest lodging town to the south. At the lodging town, Jiraiya had taken Naruto to this town to start searching for information. They had just checked into an inn for the night when Jiraiya spotted a particularly good-looking woman in a very skimpy dress. As Naruto had predicted, Jiraiya handed Naruto the keys and told him to go train in their room. Naruto sighed, muttering about, damn Ero Sennins and, easy to manipulate, before complying. By this stage, Sasuke had arrived in the town and began systematically searching every inn. He reached a particular inn and asked the usual question to the receptionist. Are a white-haired old man and a blonde kid staying here? The receptionist looked thoughtful for a moment, before replying. I think I saw a pair matching that description come just as I started my shift. Which room? Let's see. Second floor, end of the hall. Room 1. The receptionist looked up to see the boy had gone. Sasuke charged up the stairs and ran to the room mentioned. He knocked on it. Naruto dispelled his clones as he heard a knock on his door. He went over to the door and opened it to find something he never expected. Sasuke had gotten the wrong room. It was indeed the room of a white-haired old man and a blonde kid, but they weren't Naruto and Jiraiya. Sasuke apologized and ran to where he felt a sudden chakra spike several rooms away. Naruto had opened the door to see a figure in a black cloak with red clouds on it. Oh, shit. Akatsuki. Naruto looked up into the Akatsuki member's face to reveal a face very similar to Sasuke. Black hair, gaunt features and most importantly, Sharingan. Naruto took a step back. Uchiha. Itachi. Let's go outside, Naruto-kun. What choice did Naruto have? He was no match for him. He didn't stand a chance, and knowing Akatsuki, they always traveled in pairs. Behind Itachi was a very fish-like man who towered over Itachi. He had a rather large sword strapped to his back. Hoshigaki. Kiss him. Oh, you know me. I'm honored. Itachi-san, it would be annoying if he moved around. Perhaps we should chop a leg off or two. Itachi said nothing, making no move to stop his partner from doing it. So Kisum grabbed his sword's handle and stepped forward. It's settled then. Just as Kisum was about to pull his sword off his back, he stopped and looked at Itachi. Itachi made no movement to turn around to address their visitor. It's been a while, Sasuke. Kisum was slightly amused. Oh, the Sharingan, and he's very similar to you. Who is he? My Ototo. Uchiha Itachi. We're going to kill you. Naruto, be careful. This guy's a freak. They both closed their eyes before opening them simultaneously. Like you said, I've hated you, detested you, and I've. Sasuke's hair had already begun flying and a Chidori formed. He grabbed his collar, a psychotic look in his eyes. I've survived. Sasuke slammed the Chidori into the wall. Naruto knew they stood a better chance if they attacked from both sides and began forming a Rasengan. Sasuke dragged the Chidori down the wall and Naruto lunged towards Itachi. When their attacks hit home, there was a massive explosion. When the smoke cleared, Naruto and Sasuke saw that Itachi had very calmly shoved their wrists into the wall, blowing an entire room to pieces. Itachi calmly threw them to the far wall, before stepping up to them. Both of you are being annoying. Itachi proceeded to beat the crap out of them with no hint of mercy. Finally, he shoved Sasuke up against the wall and stared at him. Omai wa yowai. Naze yowai ka. Tari naikara, nikushimi ga. If you don't know what this means, it's possibly the most famous speech in the entire series. I either hate talk. Tsukuyomi. Sasuke began screaming from the memories. Naruto tried to get up and attack Itachi, but Itachi just slammed him back up against the wall. Tsukuyomi. Naruto's vision was distorted and he ended up in a world of red, black and white. Itachi appeared before him. He looked around to see that he was on the wave bridge. Oh shit. For the next 24 hours, you will watch yourself commit the wave massacre. Naruto howled in anguish before Itachi dropped him to the floor unceremoniously. Itachi became aware of another presence just behind him. A very powerful one. He turned to see Jiraiya already performing a jutsu. Ninpu, Gamaguchi Shibari. The walls, floor and ceiling began growing what looked to be the inside of a stomach. Itachi looked to Kisum. Kisum, come. Kisum freed himself and his sword before disappearing down the corridor after Itachi. It's no use. No has ever escaped from this jutsu before. Jiraiya pumped more chakra into the jutsu and a wall of meat went after Itachi and Kisum. Kisum gave Itachi some time to make an escape route by cutting off the appendages of stomach muscle that were trying to devour them. Jiraiya was smiling smugly as he felt them fall into the trap. He was shocked when he heard an explosion, and raced to check what had happened. When he rounded the corner, he saw that the end of the corridor had been completely blown away and was surrounded by a ring of black flames. Jiraiya pulled out a blank scroll and wrote a seal onto it before using the seal. Fuinjutsu, Fukahuan. A stream of chakra came out of the seal and engulfed the fire, before drawing itself and the black flames back into the seal. Once that had been done, Jiraiya rolled the scroll up and tied it up, putting it in his pack. He stomped on the ground to dismiss his frog's stomach lining. At that point, Guy ran into the hole in the wall and announced his appearance. Dynamic entry. He kicked Jiraiya in the face, quite pleased with himself until he realized who he had just kicked. He sweet dropped and helped Jiraiya up, who was rather surprised that Guy could be such an idiot. After some quick explaining, Guy turned to see the very still forms of Naruto and Sasuke next to each other, which Jiraiya noticed. Itachi mentally tortured them. I can't take either of them with me in that condition. Could you take them back to the leaf? Guy nodded and picked him up, giving a few words to Jiraiya before heading back to the village. 2 days later, both boys had been put in the same hospital room and had not said a word since they came in. Sakura fussed over Sasuke, completely oblivious to the fact that he was on the verge of killing her. Finally, Naruto turned to Sakura and whispered. It may have been a whisper, but since both of them had said nothing since they came in, so it caught Sakura's attention immediately. Sakura, do you really love Sasuke? Sakura looked at Naruto like he'd grown another head. Of course I do. Then look at him. What do his actions tell you? Sakura inspected Sasuke like a doctor would a patient. He's lonely. Naruto sneered at her. You don't love him at all. If you really loved him, then you would have known to leave him alone. Right now, he's only just restraining himself from killing you. Sakura looked at Naruto horrified. Her precious Sasuke-kun would never do that. Despite Naruto's warnings, Sakura started peeling an apple and cutting it, intent to hand-feed Sasuke. When she put the first piece forward, he smashed it away, startling Sakura to no end. Sasuke spoke to her, his voice totally devoid of emotions. You don't listen, do you? All you damn fangirls want is the bragging rights for getting me into their bed. It's disgusting. Do you think I need to be hand-fed by you? I'm leaving. Naruto, let's go. Both of them got out of bed and left a startled Sakura trying to piece together what had just happened. Not far away, in a tree. Both Naruto and Sasuke were sitting in the tree next to each other, having a minor body language conversation. What they didn't expect was to see 4 Otonins surround them. Naruto and Sasuke stood up. So, these are the 2 Orochimaru has an interest in. Look kind of weak to me. That did it. Naruto charged the double-headed freak and punched him in the gut. However, the guy just took it like a non-chakra powered flick, and slammed the boy up against the wall. Sasuke didn't miss a beat and went to attack the guy's unprotected back, but the guy's second head came alive, and a pair of hands shot out of its body, throwing Sasuke next to Naruto. Naruto looked at Sasuke who was scowling at them. Naruto released a small burst of chakra, catching Sasuke's attention. Sasuke looked at Naruto who was half smiling. Sasuke got the message. Time to set our plans in motion. Sasuke nodded and stood up slowly. So, Orochimaru want us to go to him. Whatever. This village has nothing left for us. We were waiting for an opportunity like this to get out of this hell hole. Jibrubo smiled. This was easier than expected. Get your stuff and meet us at the hill just outside the west gate. They disappeared. Naruto smiled at Sasuke. Finally. Yeah, let's go. Naruto and Sasuke walked to the Uchiha Manor. Naruto already had his bag from his trip with Jiraiya. Naruto walked into Sasuke's room and watched as he gathered a few things into his bag. Sasuke stopped at the picture frame of Team 7. He slammed it face down onto the window sill, showing they were through with these kiddie games. Sasuke pulled something out of his pocket. It was Naruto's old forehead protector. Naruto smiled when he saw the scratch through it. Sasuke chucked it to Naruto, who took his old one off, dropping it to the floor. Naruto saw Sasuke take out a kunai and slash his forehead protector. Naruto smiled. There was no going back now. They left the Uchiha Manor under the cover of darkness. As they neared the west gate, they saw the last person they wanted to see. Sakura. She turned to them, smiling sadly. Sasuke scowled at her. Why are you prowling around here in the middle of the night? I knew you'd come through here if I waited. Sakura, go back home and get some sleep. They both walked past her, but Sakura wouldn't learn when to shut it. Why won't you say anything to me? Why do you always stay so quiet, never saying a single word to me? Because you're annoying. Sakura looked at them sadly. There was only one option left. If you leave, I'll scream. No you won't. Sasuke had appeared behind her and hit some nerves in the back of her neck that knocked her unconscious. They left her there as they exited the west gate and found the Sound 4 waiting for them exactly where they had said they would. Saken spoke first. Good of you to join us, Sasuke-sama, Naruto-sama. When we left our village, it was decided you would be our leaders. Please forgive our rude welcome. Whatever. Let's just get the hell out of here. Next morning. The Chunins that had been blocking the entrance to room 201 in the first test of the Chunin exams were carrying stacks of paper that the council had requested. Everyone was shocked that Tsunade had declined the application. They stopped when they saw the female genin of Team 7 laying on the ground in the middle of the path. One of them put the stack of papers down and shook her awake. She woke with a start. Sasuke-kun. Naruto. Are you alright? What are you doing laying in the middle of the street? Sakura quickly told them what had happened, and she was rushed to see the elders. They took this information gravely. We knew this would happen. And Naruto even managed to brainwash the Uchiha into following him. Get Shikamaru here immediately. One of the Chunins standing guard saluted and ran to the Nara household. Shikamaru was dragged from his usual morning breakfast to report to the council. Shikamaru, we have called you here because two of your former companions have defected to the sound. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. Naruto and Sasuke. Indeed. Shikamaru sighed. He knew this would happen, it was only a matter of time. The council began telling him how due to the Suna, Oto invasion, their shinobi forces had been severely depleted. Shikamaru was instructed to gather the remaining genin from the Rookie 9 and Team Guy and give pursuit. He was also ordered to bring back Sasuke alive at all costs. Naruto was expendable. Shikamaru didn't listen to that part. He quickly gathered the genin and proceeded to draw a strategy in the dirt to show the formation they would travel in, before Shikamaru gave the order to go. They took off through the trees in pursuit of Sasuke and Naruto. About half a day's travel ahead. Saken stopped suddenly and turned to both Sasuke and Naruto. Okay, Sasuke-sama, Naruto-sama. I think we've gotten far enough from the village of Konoha. For what? We had one final order from Orochimaru-sama. Which was what? Saken grinned sadistically at him. You must die once. What do you mean, die once? Saken put a hand in his pocket before pulling out a bottle of pills. Seishigen. You'll need to eat one of these each. Seishigen. What exactly will that pill do? Tayuya answered. Both of your seals are currently at level 1. That pill will forcibly increase it to level 2. Saken shook the bottle like a test tube. However, the level 2 seal dramatically increases the contamination rate. If we don't do anything, you will die. In other words, in order to control the level 2 power, your body needs some time to adjust to the level 2 curse. With the level 2 curse, you will probably possess the same strength as us. When the level 2 seal awakens, there will only be a few minutes before you die. However, that's the reason we were sent here. We will place you in a specially sealed container that will lessen the effects of the pill from death to a temporary death-like coma. How reliable are your barrier skills? Kidomaru pointed to himself confidently. Don't worry, Sasuke-sama. We're Orochimaru's elite bodyguards, so our primary skills are creating seals and barriers. The only person better than us at it is Orochimaru-sama himself. Sasuke looked at Naruto, who looked back at him. To the others, it seemed as if they were almost daring the other to go first, but the reality was quite different. Naruto closed his eyes. Can you try and maintain my free will? If not, there's no point in going on. That's a tough ask, Kit. I'll see what I can do. If you fail, all of our goals will stop here. Thanks for the support, Kit. Whatever. Good luck. Just eat the damn pill. Naruto opened his eyes and turned to Sasuke. He made several minute movements. Sasuke correctly interpreted it as, bear with it. Sasuke nodded and they both popped the pills in their mouth before swallowing. They both felt the effects kick in immediately and they fell to their knees. Shit. Hurry up you guys, they're gonna die. Saken ripped the scroll off his back, opening it and bringing forth a wooden barrel. Jaibubo picked up Sasuke while Kidomaru picked up Naruto. They placed them in the barrel and began the sealing jutsu. Shikokumujin. Purple chakra spiraled off them and formed a helix that spiraled down in a cone to hit the top of the barrel. Once it cleared, it revealed a pitch-black lid that absorbed all sunlight, reflecting nothing back. Saken took out 5 paper seals, biting his thumb and formed a few more hand seals. Fukoku Huin. Saken threw the tags which slapped around the edge of the lid at equal distances. They admired their handiwork. Yosh. First steps done. Jaibubo was assigned to carry the container as the Sound 4 trudged back home. They were interrupted by 2 Junin. It was a quick but harsh battle. Sound 4 left the Junins lying there, barely clinging to life. They were exhausted, since they were forced to use their level 2 seals. They sat in a small clearing, resting until they could move again. Saken cursed. Damn it, we're losing time resting. Time we don't have. Tayuya looked at Saken, panting. It can't be helped. We lose way too much strength when we use level 2. Jaibubo sighed. What troubles me most is we can't even use our bodies. Kidomaru looked at them in annoyance. There wasn't any other way against two Junins. If we had tried to conserve chakra, we most likely would have died. Everyone in the clearing felt Kidomaru tense, and knew they had more visitors. They ignored it, not alerting the visitors to the fact they had been found. Saken beat it out a kunai he had been slowly attaching an exploding tag to from behind his back and threw it at the visitors. Two of them flew forward from the explosion and into the clearing. Saken made a crude joke. Hey, what's this? I poked the bush and got 2 bugs instead of rabbits. Shikamaru got up waving his hands in front of him. Whoa, hang on. We didn't come to fight, we came to negotiate. And set of explosions went off to their left and right, bringing a bunch of people from each side into the clearing. Kidomaru laughed. Sending people to flank us is what you call negotiating. That's a tad aggressive for negotiation. Shikamaru smirked. Well, it worked. Kijimane no Jutsu success. Shikamaru had extended his shadow to capture all 4 of them. Saken chuckled. Did it? You seem to have taken the bait perfectly. Shikamaru was cut from behind by 2 shuriken which were launched by a trap, cancelling his concentration for the Kijimane no Jutsu. Jibrubo slammed his palms into the ground, causing a miniature earthquake. The earthquake turned out to be focused around the group of Konoha ninjas and it quickly formed a dome over them. Doton, Kekai Daraudumu. Jibrubo smirked. I'll take care of these guys. This should give me enough chakra to use stage 2 again if necessary. Take Sasuke-sama and Naruto-sama and go. The remaining members of the Sound 4 turned to leave. Well, catch up to us when you're done eating. Kidomaru picked up the barrel and left. Don't take too long. Sure thing. The 3 of them jumped into the trees, leaving Jibrubo to deal with them. A little while later, Saken, Hemford, catching the others' attention. Jibrubo. He's late. Kidomaru looked behind him with a smile. Nah, he's already here. Jibrubo caught up with them. Tayuya looked at him with a look of annoyance. What took you so long? It took longer than expected to eat their chakra. Well, now that you're here, carry the barrel. Fatas. Whatever. This caught the other 3's attention. If the real Jibrubo had responded, he would have told her to watch her manners. Kidomaru looked behind him. You're unusually obedient today, Jibrubo. Huh. I'm saying, I can't let you carry the barrel, because you're not Jibrubo. The Jibrubo impersonator's face steeled as he pulled out a kunai and released the henge revealing Shikamaru. Kidomaru threw the barrel to Tayuya, who twisted around to catch it. Saken, Tayuya, take them and go. I'll handle this kid. Tayuya smirked as she caught it, spinning back around before landing on the next branch, not breaking her motion. After another few minutes of traveling, Tayuya turned to Saken. Never mind the fat ass, Jibrubo. What the hell is Kidomaru doing? The piece of shit. Saken turned to his teammate. He has a tendency to play games with his opponent. It seems his opponent is good, considering how long it's taking. However, once he gets to stage 2, the opponent is as good as dead. They continued their trip well into the night. Close to the fire, rice fields border, that evening. Saken analyzed their situation before turning to his teammate. It's already after dusk. It seems they've got their hands full. Tayuya didn't turn her head and made it clear she had been doing the same thing. That doesn't matter. What matters right now is Orochimaru-sama. We've only managed to complete 1/3 of the plan in a day. Yeah, it's not looking good. Even if all goes well, I'm not sure if we'll make it. Tayuya suddenly noticed thumping against the barrel and looked at it oddly. She stopped on the nearest tree branch, signaling her teammate to stop too. Is it about to start? No. It should take a bit longer, but... Saken became aware of a large amount of hatred directed at him and turned to see the remainder of the kids looking at them. Saken jumped off the branch at him, shouting manically. Ha! I'll kill them all in seconds. Tenten threw a kunai at Saken's head, which he dodged with ease before continuing his flight at them with incredible speed, and announced his jutsu. Taran Ken. Saken went for Shikamaru with the technique and punched through him to reveal it was a regular bunshin. He continued on with the jutsu to reveal they were all either clones or henged clones. Saken went for the last remaining one, a boy with a white trench coat and glasses. He punched him to reveal he was real, or so he thought. The boy exploded into a shower of bugs, before Kiba used his jutsu to blast through the bugs, past Saken and towards Tayuya. Tayuya made no attempt to dodge, but just stared at Kiba dumbly. Saken couldn't see that Shikamaru had caught her in his Kijimane no Jutsu before he caught him too. Saken couldn't dodge and crashed into Tayuya while Kiba picked the barrel up and hurled it to Tenten, who caught it. Shikamaru smiled. Mission success. Let's get out of here, guys. Saken grinned manically before activating the first level of the cursed seal, boosting his speed by an insane amount. He charged at him, quickly catching up. Akamaru planted an explosive note on a tree branch and attempted to catch back up, but his paw must have gotten stuck in the leaves from fear of the enemy's chakra level causing him to take less caution of his surroundings, because he fell over, causing Kiba to stop and go back, getting caught in the explosion as the tag went off. They were both thrown over into the chasm they had just passed, as was Saken. Tayuya growled and charged Tenten and Shikamaru, who were guarding the barrel. You little bastards. She was cut off when a graceful figure leapt down behind them, snatching the barrel and landing on another tree branch. Kimimaro. You're late, Tayuya. And where are the other three? You who were one of the sounds. 5. Tayuya was trying to find out why Kimimaro could move. He should be confined to his bed. How can you move? Is your body? I am moving on sheer willpower alone. Damn, with one foot already in the grave. I can understand a little bit now. This is the perception of an anthology life form that is no longer bound by the prison that is our body. It is as if I've touched the border of Orochimaru-sama's dream. Kimimaro placed a hand on the barrel to indicate his point. And these two are an important part of that dream. But you were a bit too late. Tayuya was aware that Kimimaro had disappeared from in front of her and appeared leaning over her shoulder. Tayuya started quivering, giving the Konoha shinobi that this guy was immensely powerful. The reason I have yet to kill you is that you have a purpose to fulfill by staying alive. Kill these worthless pieces of trash. Kimimaro took hold of the barrel and leapt off towards the border. Shikamaru knew they couldn't pursue them much further, or they would be invading enemy territory. Tayuya prepared to face them, delaying them as long as she could to give Kimimaro a chance to cross the border to safety. In a large grassy field just up ahead, Kimimaro landed and noticed that he had several pursuers. He turned around to see Tenten, Shino, Sakura, Ino and Hinata. Sakura and Hinata were making no effort to hide their fear, their knees shaking, while Shino, Tenten and Ino tried to moderate it. Kimimaro turned to them, looking at them with no expression on his face. Now, how should I cook these four? They all noticed that a white knife had suddenly appeared out of his shirt sleeve. Tenten was perturbed. She was from Konoha's weapons expert family, yet she'd never seen or heard of a knife like that one. She was shocked when he revealed it fully. It wasn't a knife, at least not in the way one would expect. It was a bone in the shape of a knife. Tenten opened a scroll and bit her thumb before throwing it up in the air, making it spin in a spiral. She jumped up into the middle of it and began dragging her hand over the kanji to get weapons, which she promptly hurled at Kimimaro. Kimimaro brought the bone up in a defensive position. Tenten smirked. There was no way a bone could deflect. Kimimaro brushed each weapon aside with the bone knife as if he was swatting away flies. Tenten gasped. No matter where the bone originated from, there was no way in hell it could block metal weapons. Kimimaro must have guessed this was what she was thinking. This is the limit of my inheritance. Shino's eyebrows creased in thought. Genkai. Yes, it is a bloodline limit. It allows me to freely control the shape and density of my bones. Observe. Kimimaro brought his hand out of the sleeve and held it up in front of his body. Everyone was aware of snapping and clicking noises and also that Kimimaro's fingers were acting as if they were broken before straightening themselves again and repeating the process again. They also saw lumps moving up his forearm like there was something crawling under his skin. Finally, the movements reached a feather pitch and bones burst from his forearm, surrounding his arm in dagger-like spikes of bone, dripping liquid. Sakura blanched. If they had noticed, the barrel was beginning to fume with purple chakra. Kimimaro looked over his shoulder at the barrel. It's almost time. The first step of Orochimaru-sama's ambition. Now, they all turned to the barrel as the tags on top broke and the barrel exploded. When the dust cleared, they saw Sasuke and Naruto, but it wasn't the way they were used to seeing them. Sasuke's hair was long and purple, spiking out everywhere. Naruto's hair was slightly longer, but it came down in a ponytail to the middle of his back. However, it was not its usual sun-kissed blonde color. It was blood red. Both of them had claws for fingernails and their skin was a dark brown color. The changes quickly reverted back to their old forms and their shoulders started to heave as someone would when they laugh. Both of them let out an unusually disturbing laugh before they charged off and continued towards the border. Sakura started towards them, but Kimimaro appeared behind her, ready to slice her head off with a deft stroke of the bone sword. Pathetic. Shino grabbed the sword with his bugs and threw Kimimaro away. Kimimaro recovered to see that Tenten and Shino were in between him and Hinata, Ino and Sakura. Shino didn't look over his shoulder, but his body language made it clear he was going to address them, so they listened. Sakura, Ino, Hinata. The three of you have a far better chance of stopping them than any of us did. None of us could compare to their levels of power. You were closer to them than we were. Try and delay them until we can back you up. I have just received a message from my father that several Junin are on their way to back us up as well. Demo, Shino-kun. Tenten cut her off. Hinata, we don't have time. They are incredibly close to the fire, rice border. Once they cross it, we've lost them for good. Go. Gee, good luck. Hinata turned and left her teammate and friend there. Sakura and Ino followed her, dreading what they would find when they caught up. At the Valley of the End, both Sasuke and Naruto had just crossed the statues that marked the fire, rice border. Once they got off the statue, they were home free, in a figurative sense. However, fate was not smiling on them today as they felt the presence of three people behind them on the other statue. Sasuke-kun. Naruto. They ignored them and kept going. However, Naruto heard Hinata's remark and it made him stop. Are you running away? Naruto-kun. Naruto didn't even complete his step, and neither did Sasuke. They slowly turned around in opposite directions, stopping before the left side of Sasuke's face and the right side of Naruto's face was revealed. They turned to fully face them, all three girls gasping in horror. The left side of Sasuke's face and the right side of Naruto's face had the cursed seal covering it, but what was the most frightening was their left and right eye. Naruto's right and Sasuke's left eye were completely transformed. The whites were black, and the iris was a sickly yellow. Ino looked at them angrily. Do you know that our friends sacrificed their lives to get to you? Sasuke looked bored and held out a hand at his side for effect. How nice of them. Even so, it's only after we pull something like this that we get recognition, and not the kind we want. Our childish games with you and Konoha are over. Why does it matter to you? Neither of us will let anyone lead our lives for us. Especially not Konoha. Go home. Now. The three girls flinched at the words. It was the closest either of them had ever told any of them to get lost. Both Sasuke and Naruto turned to leave, but were aware of a slight displacement in the air, signaling that something was being thrown at them. They turned around and caught the shuriken on their fingers, letting them spin before dropping to the ground. Ino screamed at them. What about your comrades back in the leaf? Did you forget them? Did we get any stronger by staying with those, comrades, as you call them? We're going to Orochimaru. Ino jumped across and tried to slap Naruto, but had her hand held onto by Sasuke. If you hit him, I will kill you. Ino pulled back and Sasuke let her. The other girls managed to overcome their fears and get next to Ino, staring at the object of their affection. Hinata tried to speak up. Naruto-kun. Why you used to try so hard at the academy? Why did you change? Naruto smirked at Hinata. You really didn't notice. Was Sasuke the only one who was able to notice? And to think that your crush on me had the slightest chance of turning out differently from those trashy Sasuke fangirls. How wrong I was. Hinata, let me tell you something now. Don't get involved in something you cannot fathom. How cold any woman possibly love a demon? You fell in love with a mask, something that didn't really exist. There was never a Dobe, Naruto. That was completely a facade I put on to live up to Konoha's extremely low expectations of me. It made my life a hell of a lot easier when I lived up to their expectations of me to fail everything. I could have passed the Academy Genin exam 4 years ago. Hell, I would be a Chunin or possibly even a Junin now if I really wanted to, however, the villagers would have scorned me more. Get used to it, Hinata. The Uzumaki Naruto you loved never existed. Oh my god, did that feel good or what? I've always wanted to see Naruto chew Hinata out for her crush on him in a fic. I think this is actually a world first. Hinata was actually crying when she heard her idol chew her out like that. The other girls went to support Hinata, making Sasuke laugh. They looked at him as he smiled evilly. You two are exactly the same to me as Hinata is to Naruto. You two were and still are more concerned about who could get me into bed first than my actual feelings. Cupboard love, how pathetic. Sakura, remember that time in the hospital when Naruto warned you that if you kept it up, I would kill you, and you scoffed at him for it? He was telling the truth. You were blind to my warning signs I was giving off and you insisted you treat me like a baby by attempting to hand feed me. I was so close to using the kunai I had in my hand on you. The only thing that stopped me was Naruto using body language to tell me we could do it later. I think that the later he was referring to is now. Sasuke punched Sakura in the gut, sending her flying into the lake. Ino and Hinata looked at Sasuke in horror at the amount of power he had used. Sasuke looked at his hand with amusement. It's great, isn't it? Yeah, this is what I've been looking for. Naruto was also looking at his hand with a similar look on his face to Sasuke. Sasuke suddenly winced as the cursed seal retreated back to its position on his neck and his eye returned to normal. Naruto started to go over to Sasuke when he froze and winced as his cursed seal began moving back and his eye also returned to normal. Sasuke started chuckling manically. If that was how much power I had with just that, I wonder what would happen if I released the seal. Ino and Hinata were becoming very scared. Naruto looked past them to where they had come from. Looks like more of them are here. Ino and Hinata turned around to see a very beaten Tenten and Shino hoping over the monuments to stand next to their friends. Naruto sighed heavily for dramatic effect. You guys don't get it, do you? We're not going back. No matter how many of you there are, you can't win. Although in most stories, the bad guys always said that and they still lost, this time, it would take more than a miracle for that to come true. Sasuke made some minor body language movements for Naruto. Shino, being the silent type, easily picked these up and sent his bugs at Naruto, which he looked amused at before he formed a few hand seals and announced his jutsu. Kaiten, Gukakyu no Jutsu. The bugs were surrounded by the flames, being completely disintegrated. Shino jumped out of the way as did the other Konoha genin. Naruto looked at them. You know, a man once said to me that you're not ninja until you've been through many life or death experiences. Tell me, how many lives have each of you taken? Not too long ago, I already had my hands stained with the blood of more lives than a platoon of Anbu would in a year. They froze in fear, which was the effect Naruto desired. Tenten broke out of it and charged Naruto. Naruto made no effort to dodge as she punched him in the face. She sighed silently to herself before she realized something. Naruto had absorbed 90% of the impact as if it was nothing and looked back at her. Tenten punched him again and again, until her knuckles were covered in his blood. She stopped, realizing that this wasn't getting her anywhere, and Naruto spoke softly to her. Is this all you've got? If it is, I won't have to use it. Tenten looked at him in confusion. It, Kyubi. Don't underestimate me. Tenten aimed another punch, but Naruto caught it with his eyes closed. I'm not underestimating you. I'm probably overestimating you. If I had kept playing games with you. Naruto threw Tenten away with his hand and shot after her, kicking her with a sickening combo in the gut, before slamming her into the ground, landing lightly beside her. I would never have gotten this much power. Sasuke took advantage of the other's momentary distraction to perform a combo on Shino. He knocked him forwards, then proceeded to body flicker around him, smashing every which way before finally kicking him into the far monument of the Shodime Hokage. Sasuke body flickered back up to the others, as did Naruto. They grinned at them. You can't beat us. No, but we can. Naruto and Sasuke looked up to see a group of 4 Junin on the other stone monument. Naruto silently cursed himself for toying with the genin. Naruto looked at Sasuke and nodded. They engaged the first level of their cursed seals and Sasuke activated his Sharingan, charging at the Junins, who started using jutsus. Sasuke saw one that looked interesting and copied it, sending it back at him. Katon, Karyuendan. The jutsus cancelled each other out, leaving Sasuke to engage his target in taijutsu. Naruto had gone straight into taijutsu and began attacking his target. The genin looked on in wonder as the two of them held their own against 4 junin. However, after a few minutes, it became clear that the junins were gaining a slight edge over the two. Naruto didn't like where this was going. They had one option left, considering Kyuubi was unable to lend its chakra to him because it was taken up to prevent the cursed seal from taking over his mind. Naruto body flickered behind Hinata and Sasuke behind Ino. They smiled at the girls, who realized they were done for. Sasuke was going to take extreme pleasure in this, but Naruto felt a twinge of guilt, which he quickly crushed. Sumini, Hinata. Hinata smiled weakly that Naruto had the decency to feel guilty for what he was about to do, but prepared as Naruto hit her over the back of the neck, thinking he had knocked her unconscious, but she had put enough chakra into her neck to avoid being knocked out. But she would still be immobile. Now that the threat of the genin taking him out after they used Cursed Seal level 2, they looked back at the junins. Naruto noticed that Sasuke now had the third comma in his Sharingan. It's about time we tried the full extent of our powers. The Cursed Seal marks glowed orange and red before expanding and combining, turning their skin brown. Sasuke's hair turned a sickly purple color while Naruto's turned blood red. Both of their hair extended in size. Sasuke's grew everywhere in long quill-like spines while Naruto's hair mostly just lengthened a tiny bit except for the hair on the back of his head, which lengthened into a ponytail. They both grew claws. When they opened their eyes, the junins were shocked to see that the whites of their eyes had turned black. Sasuke's Sharingan was still activated while Naruto's irises had turned blood red with snake-like pupils. Sasuke had a black cross over his nose while Naruto's ears had lengthened slightly. His whisker marks had darkened like when he lost control. Both of them had extended canines. Sasuke's lips were purple. They smiled and motioned for the junin to come. The 4 of them charged and slammed Sasuke and Naruto into the wall, smirking. Thinking that the genin had no chance of surviving such a blow, they waited to inspect their handiwork. Once the dust cleared, they got a major shock. Sasuke was covered by what looked like some sort of grey cocoon, while Naruto had deflected the attacks from his 2 junin with a set of red tails. The tails' tips were black. Both genins' appendages made a movement, alerting the junins who tried to jump back, but were far too late. They were slammed out of the way and into the opposite wall. When they recovered, they saw that Sasuke had sprouted a hand-like wing. Naruto had sprouted a pair of tails. Both genins moaned in pain as their other appendages shot out. Sasuke sprouted his other wing while Naruto's remaining 7 tails sprouted in quick succession. Naruto fell forward onto all fours while Sasuke crouched. The junins looked at them in pure utter horror. Sasuke gritted his teeth as pain coursed through his body. Luckily for Naruto, Kyuubi took care of that for him. Naruto looked at the junin. Let me tell you something. We're going to let you live, however, we want you to convey a message to Konoha for us. If you ever send people to retrieve us or attack us, we'll kill them. Naruto bounded at the junin while Sasuke flew at them. They proceeded to beat their Happle's targets with brutal punch-kick combos, keeping them alive enough to return their message, but not alive enough to give chase. Once they had knocked all of them unconscious, they reverted back to their normal forms. Naruto and Sasuke slowly walked up the side of the monument with the last of their chakra and trudged into the country of rice fields, leaving nothing but painful memories behind. Moments later, it began raining heavily and Kakashi arrived to survey the damage. He saw people scattered everywhere, but with minimal blood loss. He thanked whichever god was listening that Sasuke and Naruto had let them live and waited for the medical squads to arrive. The next day, both Sasuke and Naruto had trudged slowly down the beaten path into the rice field country. Early the next morning, they were spotted by a platoon of otonins, who when they saw them, made a beeline for them. Naruto and Sasuke looked up at them. The nins bowed politely before conversing with them. Sasuke-sama, Naruto-sama. All otonins were told to be on the lookout for you. Anyone who encountered them was to immediately take them back to the village. Are you able to walk? We're fine. Just lead the way. The otonin nodded and they took up flanking positions around the two. They led them through the closest town where they stopped for a quick meal before pressing onwards. The otonins lead them out of the town and off the road. Naruto and Sasuke became wary as they left the road, but they were put at ease when they saw a second group of otonins jump out of the trees. The leaders of the platoons conversed quickly before the newcomers looked at the two boys. Orochimaru-sama is expecting you. The village is just up ahead. The platoon that was initially guarding them exchanged places with the new ones, which led them for another 30 minutes before they arrived at a set of stairs sunken into the ground which ended at a door. The Otonins at the door nodded and waved him through. They lead him down the stairs and through a maze of corridors before they got to a room where the Otonins stopped. The leader looked at them. We are not permitted to come in here unless in the case of an emergency. This is Orochimaru-sama's sitting room. Please go in. The Otonin opened the door, letting Sasuke and Naruto inside before quietly shutting it. They saw Kabuto standing next to a man who they could tell was Orochimaru, despite his different look. Naruto looked at Kabuto. I had a feeling there wasn't something quite right about you. Kabuto smiled uneasily as Orochimaru laughed. It's been a while, Sasuke-kun. Naruto-kun. Kabuto turned around, grabbing robes from behind him and handing them to Sasuke and Naruto. They both gladly put them on and turned back to Orochimaru. Sasuke-kun, you are my chosen one. I don't care. Hurry up and give me power. Kabuto made his way over to Sasuke and whispered in his ear. Even though his appearance may be different, the person before you is the Orochimaru-sama. If you don't want to die, watch your mouth. Both Sasuke and Naruto let of an incredible spike of chakra which caught Kabuto completely by surprise. He recoiled and stared in disbelief at the boys. Orochimaru looked at them in the sort of way a person would look at the prize of a competition they had just won. Orochimaru had Kabuto give them a meal and showed them to their future sleeping chambers. First year. Nothing much unexpected happened during the first year. They trained, ate, slept and studied while they were changing locations regularly. Orochimaru had insisted they both learn how to handle a sword properly, and so they were taught kenjutsu by a host of different people. After some training with the level 2 seal, he formulated his plan to get Sasuke's free will back. To any regular person, Sasuke would have appeared as if he had free will, however, on much closer inspection, Sasuke had lost only a fragment, the part that would let him do anything to Orochimaru more serious than back-chat him. Most of his free time was spent trying to figure out how to modify the kunai so he could use Haraishin. After their first month, Naruto approached Orochimaru. What seems to be the problem, Naruto-kun? I want to try and find a way to allow our cursed seals to partially activate at level 2 without the massive chakra drain and other side effects. Why would you want to do that? I personally like having my tails, lengthened ears and a few of the other physical attributes of the cursed seal level 2. I also know Sasuke like it too. If it is possible, it would help intimidate opponents, and theoretically it would only require a small portion of the chakra it usually does. It might even require less chakra to use the cursed seal should I be successful. Orochimaru thought over it for a moment before smiling behind the bandages. Very well, Naruto-kun. If you are successful in your research, please report to me before you use it. Ask Kabuto for access to the research records. Sure. After that, Naruto had dedicated his time to both modifying the kunai and researching the cursed seal when he wasn't required to do other things. Kyuubi had managed to get the cursed seal to stop growing to the point where it only couldn't talk when Naruto activated either level 1 or 2 of the seal, which was when it would start trying to regrow. Having a demon that had been around for eons helped dramatically increase the speed of both research. Naruto could only thank the gods that Orochimaru had no clue why he was really researching it. Orochimaru probably thought that since Naruto had been forced to the second stage of the cursed seal, he really was brainwashed. Naruto tested out the limits of Sasuke's free will very carefully before he determined that the loss of free will would not make Sasuke turn against Naruto if he told him what he was doing. It seemed that only direct threats to Orochimaru were taken seriously, so Naruto told Sasuke about half a year into their stay as best he could through body language. The parts he couldn't, he expressed in 1 or 2 words. Sasuke smiled at him, which Naruto took as a good sign. Naruto was extremely worried for days after that episode to see if Sasuke would snitch on him, but he hadn't. Sasuke could tell Naruto was fearful and made one of their blood promises. Naruto had found out that even Orochimaru's attempt to break Sasuke's free will would not break Sasuke's will to keep his blood promises. Naruto diligently kept up the research well into the next year. Year 2. Halfway through their second year under Orochimaru's tutelage, Naruto made an amazing breakthrough. Naruto had thought that he would have to somehow make a second alteration to gain back Sasuke's free will, but amazingly, the cursed seal relied on short sharp bursts of corrupted chakra to steadily corrupt the mind. Naruto had known this for a long time when he made the discovery with major input from Kyuubi. They had found that the cursed seal can only corrupt the mind if the person continuously subconsciously submits to it. The seal seems to somehow make people continually give in, however, that was only during the first 2 years of use of the second level of the cursed seal at level 2. After that, there was no escape. Naruto worked frantically to find some sort of way to reverse that. He silently wished he had dragged Ino here with him so she could do it, however, he had only his and Kyuubi's power to work on. Naruto raced against the clock, slowly formulating a overlapping seal to do what he needed. The problem was that the seal needed to be strong enough to break the stranglehold over a person's will, but be subtle enough to avoid detection. The answer came from a surprising source. On one particular evening, Naruto was looking back over the previous versions of the cursed seal. Naruto noticed that the way each seal got its bearer to subconsciously submit was different. The very early version of the seals practically ripped all forms of free will away. Each version after that made the removal of the free will far less noticeable. The heaven seal, which both Naruto and Sasuke had one minor flaw in it. Each heaven seal had a small piece of Orochimaru's soul in it, and if the piece of the soul itself was sealed, the stranglehold over the seal's bearer would be broken, and Orochimaru would be none the wiser. Kyuubi racked its brains for a possible seal to use and told Naruto to do his own research. With several months left until the deadline, Naruto found all the parts he needed. The way to get the cursed seal level 2 to stay partially active at all times and the seal to seal the part of Orochimaru's soul. The final problem was combining them into a new seal. Naruto worked at it for the next month before he found the answer. He approached Orochimaru with the seal as he looked over it. He dismissed Naruto, saying he would think about it overnight. The next morning, Orochimaru gave the go-ahead on one condition. That he watched the jutsu. Naruto agreed and led Sasuke, Orochimaru and Kabuto into the dojo and sat Sasuke down, telling him to release the cursed seal level 2. Naruto instructed Sasuke to think clearly about the parts he wanted to keep active, telling him that he would have to unseal it and then reseal it with any new changes. Naruto began forming a long chain of unseals before placing his palm on the cursed seal. Partial cursed seal release. Sasuke gritted his teeth as throbs of pain shot through his body. The skin color returned to normal, the hair size and shape returned to normal, still retaining its purple hue. The black cross on his nose disappeared, the whites of his eyes returned to white, his lips returned to their normal color and his wings withdrew. All Sasuke had really kept was his hair color, fangs and nails. Orochimaru inspected the seal to find that in between the 3 comma marks a small blue circle had formed. After inspecting it, he found it to his satisfaction. Very well done, Naruto-kun. I assume you would want to perform it on yourself. Yeah. Then please do. Naruto nodded, releasing his cursed seal level 2. Naruto concentrated as he formed the long chain of hand seal and placed his hand on the seal. Partial cursed seal release. Naruto gritted his teeth as his eyes returned to normal apart from the snake-like pupils, as did his skin color and hair color. He had basically retained most of it. It indeed made him look like a demon. Naruto panted and described how to activate the changes and also deactivate them. Orochimaru smiled and looked at Naruto. Naruto-kun. Naruto interrupted Orochimaru. No can do. We're the only ones you gave the heaven seal to, and this will only work on the heaven seal. The others are far too different to use this on. I see. Continue your theoretical studies for the rest of today. Naruto and Sasuke retired to the library where they each worked on perfecting what they hoped would be their signature moves. Naruto's was obviously the Hiraishin. Sasuke was trying to modify the Chidori. Naruto looked up at Sasuke, who looked at him. Sasuke already knew what Naruto wanted to know, smiled and gave a tiny nod. Naruto's heart leapt. They could begin the next stage of their plans at will. However, Orochimaru was still more useful alive than dead. By the end of the year, Naruto had worked out how to change 3/4 of the tag for the Hiraishin over the last 2 years. Naruto was looking at the seal and at the book of scrolls on his lap. Naruto almost choked, catching Sasuke's attention. Holy. Find another part. No. I found the rest of it. Sasuke boggled at Naruto. He'd found the last quarter of the tag in a single seal. Sasuke leaned over his armchair and saw what Naruto was looking at. The double page contained several seals of differing varieties. When Sasuke looked at the tag on the kunai and then at the pages, he didn't see the connection. He looked up at Naruto. Naruto smiled back. The last quarter is the physical appearance and personalization of the tag. Look at the pages carefully. Sasuke did and noticed something. The physical appearance on the tag meant the physical manifestation of the jutsu. However, no seals on the page had anything to do with manifesting, until Sasuke saw halfway down the page as his eyes passed over the theoretical part of a nondescript seal, the explanation of changing physical appearances of objects through the use of seals. Sasuke looked back at the tag and then at the page again, confirming it. Naruto then pointed to something on the other page, which Sasuke read was a theoretical exercise on how summoning contract signing worked. Sasuke looked up as Naruto withdrew a calligraphy brush and ink bottle, pulling out his own unique tag that was almost finished. Looking carefully at the book, Naruto finished the tag and wrapped around the kunai he had a smith make for just this moment. Naruto looked at Sasuke, nodded and threw the kunai at the wall. He felt himself being pulled to the kunai by some mysterious force, and before he knew it, he was at the wall. He hadn't even seen himself move. He looked back at Sasuke, who stared wide-eyed in disbelief. Just then, the door burst open and Kabuto charged in. "What are you doing summoning in?" Kabuto took stock of the situation, seeing their faces, and turned to Naruto. "So, you completed it, did you, Naruto-kun? Congratulations." Orochimaru made his way into the library, obviously drawn there by the chakra spike. Kabuto turned to Orochimaru. "Orochimaru-sama, Naruto-kun just completed the Hiraishin." Orochimaru smiled. "Show me." Naruto took the kunai out of the wall and threw it at the far wall, flashing over to the wall in a streak of red light. Orochimaru smiled widely. "Well done, Naruto-kun." Third year. Early during the third year, Kyuubi had called Naruto to the cage for a talk. These talks weren't exactly common, but they weren't extremely rare either. Naruto got down to the cage and saw the fox had a rather unusual look on its face. It had the usual smile plastered to its chops, so Naruto stood in front of it. "What is it this time?" "Straight to the point, Remember during the fight with Shukaku, he addressed me as Kyuubi Haim." Naruto had completely forgotten about it. "Yeah. So, gonna tell me the story?" Kyuubi looked thoughtful for a moment. "There really isn't much of a story. I just love destroying things. The fact is that all of us had to prove we were worthy as one of the 9 demon lords, so we were occasionally tasked with taking out a human village or two. Severed 2 purposes. One was to prove we still had what it takes, and the other was to stop you humans from overpopulating. Why the hell would that matter to you? Kit, we have reasons for everything. Do you really think we're completely self-sufficient in hell?" Naruto had never thought of that. "Well, we aren't. Every now and then, hell starts running out of souls to torture. I don't know why humans think once you go to hell you stay there for all eternity. What crap. Once you serve your sentence, we kick you out and you're, as you humans call it, reincarnated. Unfortunately, the rate of those getting reincarnated is more than those who come to hell naturally, so we speed the intake up." Kyuubi let this settle for a minute, waiting for Naruto's answer. She didn't get the one she expected. "The only thing I have to say is I'm kind of pissed off that you didn't tell me earlier. Not going to mock me. Why the hell would I do that? I've seen what you can do. The fact that you're female, or that you go on destruction binges ain't change much." The Kyuubi looked down at the boy with renewed interest. Most of the humans she had introduced herself to as a female in ages past just scoffed at her. Yet, he was only annoyed that she had hid the fact. For once, the Kyuubi didn't have a smart reply. One just didn't seem necessary. "Just don't go spreading that around, I don't need my reputation ruined." "Sure thing." Later, Kyuubi didn't get to say anything as Naruto disappeared from his mindscape. Naruto had quickly told Sasuke what had happened, who looked at him like he had grown an extra head. Sasuke was rather amused by the whole truth or dare incident. Naruto didn't reveal the truth to anyone else, and they continued on with life. Kyuubi had called Naruto down to the cage with increasing regularity. They talked of a lot of things. Their relationship grew slowly beyond a prisoner-jailer relationship and into one of mutual understanding. Sasuke and Naruto had been planning their escape for the last year. Orochimaru was well guarded at all times. The only way they could catch him off guard would be if someone were to invade. Luckily, they got their wish halfway through the year. Orochimaru and Kabuto said they were going to tidy up some loose ends. Naruto and Sasuke decided to sleep in for once, having nothing better to do. What they weren't expecting was one of them to open the door and try to make an advance on Sasuke. Sasuke growled. What do you want? I've been exposed, haven't I? However, I have already made the first move. Naruto sighed. What is your objective? I am here to rescue you and return to Konoha. Quote. Although in the beginning, I was supposed to come here and kill you. I am going to protect Sakura-chan's bonds. Bonds. You woke us up to talk about bonds. That did it. They were woken up to have a chat about bonds. Both Naruto and Sasuke grabbed their swords and demolished their room with a simple jutsu, standing on top of the demolished room in the daylight. Soon enough, Sakura, another black-haired Junin and some other white-haired boy appeared. Sakura was on the verge of tears. Naruto sighed. Sakura really hadn't changed much. Naruto began activating the partial cursed seal, releasing his tails, lengthening his hair and growing fangs and claws. Sasuke released his partial cursed seal as well. Naruto's tails waved in the wind, twitching in what Sasuke recognized as spoke first. Sasuke-kun. Naruto couldn't stop himself from slapping his forehead. You haven't learnt after 3 years, have you? He was never the precious. Sasuke-kun, you knew. For the supposed smartest person of our year, you're pretty dense, you know. Sasuke backed him up. Naruto's right. Even he's smarter than you, the dobe of the class. We don't have time to mess with you. Naruto picked one of his special kunai out of his pocket and hurled it near the front of them. They looked at it and then at Naruto. Naruto smiled and turned into a red streak that flashed down in front of the white-haired boy, who was trembling. Was that? Yes and no. Yes, it was the Hiraishin, but no, it wasn't the Yondaim's version. So, you're supposed to be my replacement. You fail. Naruto began unsheathing his sword. Shi-ne. Naruto brought the sword down, only to have the one who had disturbed them block it with his sword. Sasuke smirked. One guard passes. Sasuke's body flickered down in the middle of the group and smirked. Chidori Nagashi. Sasuke's entire body was covered by an extended chidori. Sakura, the Junin and the two boys were fried and thrown away, smoke coming off the clothing. Sasuke started forming a hand seal. Naruto liked where this was going. Just as Sasuke raised his hand to activate the jutsu, Orochimaru appeared and grabbed his hand. Naruto had to stop his smile widening. Don't use that jutsu. Let go. Now. Unfortunately, Kabuto had decided to join the party. Hey, you're speaking like that to Orochimaru again. I've got no reason to be stopped. You also know what Akatsuki is doing. We want these people to manage Akatsuki for us. Every little bit helps. If they hinder the other Akatsuki, your revenge will almost get easier. What a pitiful reason. It's to help with your revenge, isn't it? It's to improve your success rate by 1%, isn't it? Sasuke relaxed and Orochimaru dropped his hand. Naruto turned to the Konoha ninjas. We'll meet again. Orochimaru brought forth a wall of purple flames to hide their escape. They had started running to their next appointed hideout. Luckily, it was only the 4 of them. Naruto made a slight twitch of his head to indicate they should start. Naruto increased his speed slightly, using a special kenjutsu to stab his sword through Kabuto's back. Kabuto tried to futilely block it with a kunai, however, both of their swords could not be blocked due to their design. It shattered the kunai and punctured Kabuto's lung. Orochimaru stopped, looking at them in interest. Naruto decided not to underestimate Kabuto's healing abilities and cut off his head. This is where the fight would really start. Orochimaru attempted to make them both submit via the cursed seals, but was shocked when the seals didn't respond. Impossible. Do you really think my modification of the cursed seals was only for looks? You're pretty stupid for the genius of the Sannin. Both Naruto and Sasuke charged. Naruto brought out a good deal of his special kunai and littered the area with them. Orochimaru had brought out his own sword and had begun engaging Sasuke in kenjutsu. Naruto flashed towards a kunai that Orochimaru was being forced back to and tried to attack from behind. Orochimaru deflected the attack and then went back to attacking Sasuke. Although Orochimaru had taught both of them, he was still far better than either one of them. Together though, they had unrivaled coordination. Swords danced through the air, clanging against each other before the wielders moved back into ready stances for the briefest moment before going into another strike. Orochimaru went in for a strike when he saw an opening that Sasuke had intentionally made. Sasuke parried and redirected the blow, causing Orochimaru to lose balance for a moment. A moment was all Naruto needed. He body flickered forward and slashed Orochimaru's head cleanly off. Naruto stared at the body, which was still twitching. Your spirit may be immortal, but even if you lose your head, you'll still die, right? The only answer Naruto got was the body stopped twitching. Both Naruto and Sasuke noticed that their cursed seals pulsed and the small sealed part of Orochimaru's soul died, leaving them with the cursed seals with no brainwashing picked up Orochimaru's head while Sasuke picked up Kabuto's. They placed a special sealing jutsu they had been taught on th heads to stop the DNA from self-destructing as it did when the body died. They had carried out many assassinations in their stay with Orochimaru, so learning this jutsu was essential. Naruto pulled out 2 duffel bags, handing one to Sasuke, which he put Kabuto's head in. Naruto put Orochimaru's head in the other and they both sealed them. Naruto sighed. They had more than enough money to survive a year without doing missions, but the price on these 2 would extend that further. It was only a matter of who would pay the most for it. Naturally, since Orochimaru had a hatred for Konoha, and showed it with his history of picking off Konoha nins at whim, they would most likely pay the highest price. Naruto and Sasuke knew there was a town close to here, where they could get a messenger bird to tack the message of Orochimaru's death there. Naruto turned to Sasuke who was thinking the same thing. First thing though, we seriously gotta get some new clothes. Sasuke smirked. It was settled. The second phase of their plans had been completed. Naruto quickly collected his special kunai from around the area and then followed Sasuke through the light forest towards the village. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.